Even though I keep on falling, I just pick myself back up. I just keep putting my all in, even though it's not enough. I've lost so much already, so what? I'm not afraid to show up, even though I keep on falling. It's just me and myself in these 88 keys, all confused and alone, cause my ADHD makes me ghost people like I don't wanna help. It's difficult enough to keep a promise to myself. I done used every trick and every tool that's in the book. I done bit every hand, I done ruined every look. If it was you, you would've quit. If it was you, you would be shook. Lucky me, I can't remember how stupid that I look. See, my train of thought is more like an airplane spinning in a circle, cause it only has one wing. I wish you were missed, but if you're not in front of me, I forget you exist. Even though I keep on falling, I just pick myself back up. I just keep putting my all in, even though it's not enough. I've lost so much already, so what? I'm not afraid to show up, even though I keep on falling. It's just me and my own distorted mind frame, all enraged and distressed, cause my borderline brain makes me hate people like I just wanna fight. But really I'm afraid there's nothing certain in my life. I convinced everyone that there's no one that I need, but really I'm preparing for the moment that they leave. So I tell them they should go, leave me alone and let me be. Say I want space when it's closeness I need. See, my train of thought is more like an airplane spinning in a circle, cause it only has one wing. I wish you were missed, but if you're not in front of me, I forget you exist. Even though I keep on falling, I just pick myself back up. I just keep putting my all in, even though it's not enough. I've lost so much already, so what? I'm not afraid to show up, even though I keep on falling. In my one-winged airplane, in my one-winged airplane, in my one-winged airplane.
What's going on, guys? Good morning. Good morning. I'm a little bit late today, 20 minutes late, past the time when I said I'd be here. I do have some things to get to pretty soon. So today is going to be a bit of a quick live stream, probably 30 minutes or so. Just, nothing much has really happened over the last 2 days. So I figured I'd jump on and just rediscuss kind of what the game plan is for me personally. And just give you guys a heads up for anybody that hasn't really checked in. So, yeah, good morning, guys. Let me go ahead and pop open the chat here. Just give me 1 second. Fire Motive, what's going on, man? Good morning. Iron Scooby, he said, oh my God, what's up, dude? LOL. What's going on, man? Good morning, guys. So if you guys want to call out any coins you want me to take a look at, because we don't have much time today, go ahead and pop them in chat and I'll get to them eventually. Just going to check out the top ones here first and foremost. Everybody's concerned about the SPY. Everybody's concerned about the US 100 tariff situation, all that good stuff, which on the back end of things, it's actually looking pretty good, to be frank with you. The US 100 is sitting at local low support. We did get a decent bounce the other day on the smaller time frames, and now we are having a retest back down to the downside. The problem is with these levels, we haven't been to these levels in quite a long period of time, so the variance in the actual support itself is a little bit wonky. And obviously there's a little bit of an overreaction push past, but even still, now that price action has settled down just a little bit, we're still kind of like hanging around that region. Now, when I marked this out the other day, I left out this local low here. It is at least something. Not as significant as this one here, but they're close enough together where I would be looking at this region more as a range rather than necessarily a direct line of support. So if we go ahead and mark that out and then just delete the actual, hopefully that gives you a better clue at what I'm feeling here in terms of support. And obviously with it being a macro time frame and a macro level retest, we can probably extend that range just a little bit here. So as long as we're kind of sitting in this region, we do have the availability to find support and try to retest the upside. Doesn't mean that we're going to be bullish from here, but like I said, the market itself, all its entire job is to find out what is the correct price of an asset at any given point in time. And by doing so, it needs to retest. So to the upside is where we would be retesting if we're finding support currently. There's no real places where I would target besides maybe the intermediary point here, about 20,000. But that is quite a bit away. So, I mean, it could be a slight retest. It could be a decent retest. That's really not up for me to decide. There's no pattern yet. Obviously, we have an A to a B right now. If we do have a little bit of an extension to the downside, maybe we could get that into a C wave, and that would be a good look for bullishness to the upside. As of right now, if we do continue up and we put in that higher high, this actually would be looking like it is going to flop back over. Now, obviously, it would be a larger B wave, so that wouldn't be too bad if we wanted to put in a slightly lower low and find support once again, but we'll have to wait and see what it does. So let's go and take a look at the SPY. SPY's in pretty much the same exact situation. We have a double layered support region right here. We have the two previous local lows here and here acting as our support. Price action had a slam to the downside. We got a bounce out of that region, and we're pretty much in the same exact situation as the US 100. So A to a B, possibly looking for a short-term C confirmation off of the recent local low, or continuation to the upside, putting in that ABC short pattern. And then from there, we'll see what happens. Obviously, with a short pattern, my inkling would be, if we confirm it back to the downside, we're going to go back down and retest this local low here. And with the added value of the support region, hopefully it holds. And then we can get some higher retests, possibly back to 577, 560, or maybe just back to this recent local low of 534. See how price action works itself out. Taking a look at BTC. BTC has been a little bit of a back and forth on the smaller time frames. Obviously, we're looking at the larger structure here, our largest ABC structure, A to B to C. We are currently kind of like sitting around that entry point. Right now, we are above it. We have gone back below it 1, 2 times. So depending on what your stop loss is, you know, you 2.6%, you definitely would have been stopped out on that one. This one, if you had a 2%, 2.5%, you're still in that trade from the recent retest to the upside here. So that's the current trade that I'm playing off of. And obviously, I'd be looking for a retest of like 95,000, looking for a retest of 88,000. But if we don't get either of those, obviously, my next go-to is I'm really looking for a hedge short position. So maybe that first resistance is when we get our B rejection, and then the second resistance is where we get our C. And obviously, depending on how far this C wave goes past, I'll either be looking within the C wave for an ABC to go ahead and grab to play into the macro position. But obviously, if we get just a tad bit higher high here, I wouldn't be too shy, and I would play this entry point here. Ethereum is still kind of trying to find its bounce here. On the smaller time frames, all right, this is not me pulling the trigger and saying like this is a go-to, but we do have the local low supports here, and then on the smaller time frames we do have a ABC. All right, this is a smaller time frame, so it's not necessarily the best option for you to take a trade, but if you're itching to take a trade on Ethereum, if it's your coin, you do have a bullish support pattern at bullish supports. So there is a reason to be in a long trade. But obviously, like I said, it is on the 1 hour time frame. So at your discretion, that's up to you, whether or not you take that trade. It's there, it's valid, and it has added confluence, but not necessarily a high enough time frame for me to have like a lot of confidence in it, but it's there. So that's up to you. Litecoin was another coin I was looking at. Obviously, it has a macro long structure. We are very decently past this the start of the B wave, the end of the A. So I don't think I'll be necessarily taking the trade anymore off of the actual A entry point. I would have to see something form either below this in terms of an ABC structure. Obviously, this looks very similar to the SPY in terms of A to a B, maybe looking for that C wave in order to get some sort of retest to the downside. That would be interesting. Obviously, on a 1 hour time frame, so maybe on a 3 to 4 hour time frame, this would look a little bit more appetizing than say Ethereum if we saw a structure like that. That might be something I take a chance on if it happens, in conjunction with the macro trade here, only because we have this structure here. Obviously, if we don't get that, if price action decides to be bullish on us, and we don't get any sort of retest to the downside, then the main thing that I'll be looking for is price action to get back above the A, and then hopefully get some sort of retest like this to the downside, and then that would be my entry point for any more upwards mobility. And then obviously any short trades that form within there are going to be hedge positions. Because we have to be open and honest whether or not we're going to get any sort of second phase of the bull market. Like I said, the halvening with Bitcoin has been the driving factor for these bull markets. And it does make sense for it to be less and less and less. And I don't necessarily think that we're not going to ever get the bull markets from yesterday's past. But I do think there needs to be probably like 2 to 3 market cycles of pressure being built up, impatience being built up, in order for us to see those types of bull markets again. Whereas before, it took very little. One flick of a domino and everything was off to the races. But now I think those dominoes are much, much bigger. And it takes a lot more in order to get the ball started. DXY for anybody that's interested. Nothing really happening. Let's go out to the daily time frame here. So obviously this is the macro structure that we should all be aware of here. We have an A to a B. We are currently in a C wave, but it's unfinished. Obviously, in order for that to finish, we'd have to get a dip below about 99.6 and then come back above it. That would confirm a bullish long structure. We don't have any local low support. Obviously, we have a couple things here. We have here, here, and then the lowest low. It's a very thin structure going up to the upside, so there's not much for us to really be hyper aware of to the downside besides maybe these 2 macro local lows here, if you can even call this a macro. Within the actual C wave itself, there's nothing that's screaming to me. I mean, you can sit here and you can say, what about this possible ABC structure? And yeah, I guess you could say that, but it's not something that I typically am like hyper aware of. I don't think that's going to have an impact, in all honesty. If we do get any sort of ABC before we put in the macro, it's going to have a much deeper cut, you know, sideways into the up. And then obviously we would be looking for that. Without that, with this very thin kind of zigzag structure, it's not really something I would look at and say like that's an ABC that I want to take part in. Obviously, I'm not trading DXY, but it is interesting to look at in terms of how it might influence the rest of the market. ADA, some people were interested in the other day. We do have a macro ABC long position. We do have to get a slightly lower low here beyond 50 cents in order for that to complete, and then obviously get back above it for it to confirm. We are in a very similar situation to some other coins on the smaller time frames. We do have an A to a B, possibly looking for a C wave, create the bearish structure on the smaller time frames for that last retest, or what you would hope to be a last retest. And obviously that would complete an ABC structure there. And then from there, if you did want to go ahead and take that ABC trade, if it did confirm, that is an option. KDA sitting in local lows. We are back above the macro ABC long position. It's there if you want to take it. But obviously altcoins, especially where we're sitting, are a little bit of a dangerous position to be in, especially with kind of like the rocky nature that altcoins have. So you might get stopped out a couple times if we are going to turn bullish. So even though the trade might work out, you might get stopped out. Creedmoor, what's going on, man? Good morning. How you doing? What do you guys think about the coin engine? I was doing some research and it had some good partnerships in real world use. The coin is down. If it goes to all-time high again, there's a chance of 8,000% profit. I mean, if there's risk to reward to be had, I mean, at that point, you really don't even have to care about real world use. But more importantly, we care about charts around here. All right, so local low, it failed to find support. So the next local lows /A is kind of the next region of support. There's nothing on the chart to immediately scream bullish. Our support regions are still down here in this region. There's really nothing between those 2 points. So to take a long here is kind of not the move, in my opinion. Obviously, I mean, if you wanted a DCA in on spot, we don't have much longer until those local lows. I mean, if you just want to start, you know, loading up spot trades on the way down, that's an option if that's what you're looking to do. But other than that, there's obviously the ABC right here. We have extended pretty decently far past it, so to say whether or not to just go ahead and take the long trade once we get back above the A, that's up to you. But more importantly, I do think you would need some sort of retest in order for that to be of any interest, in my opinion. But yeah, I mean, like it's just like every other coin right now. It's in a weird place. Like I said, the only thing that I would really touch it with would be spot, and it would be DCA trades with the expectation and the understanding that we definitely could see these lower local lows be hit. So spot trade, spot trade, spot trade on the way down. All right. To take a trade right now, or, you know, buy on spot thinking that's just going to immediately turn around and shoot to the upside, that probably won't be the case. That won't be the case for a lot of coins. I'm doing good. How are you? Doing good. Just another morning. Up early, talking about the market. That's what we love to do. VVV coin and Pirate Nation coin. Some coins, if you want to look at, no trouble. Just happy to see Kite. Yeah, we'll take a look at it. Like I said, it's a short stream today, so any content we can fill it with, the better. Is there anything? Is there any other? If this is all the price action we got, it's not really looking good. I mean, yeah, I mean, that's kind of, it's looking like that's all the price action we got. I'm sure there's some obscure exchange out there that might have more on this. So, I mean, from what we can see, which is not much, we do have an A to a B to a C. Then we got, obviously, the A to the B to the C within the C wave. So, I mean, you're looking at about $2 and... $0.32 as a possible entry point. As long as it's below there, especially with me not knowing any of the previous local lows, if there is any, there's really not much to say. So $2.32 is kind of the safe zone because that's all we have. What stop loss I think with the macro trades, I'm going to be sticking to about a 2.5% stop loss. And then on any medium time frame trades, it'll be about a 1 to a 1.5%. And then you said Pirate Coin. So Pirate Nation. A little bit of a similar situation. We do have the A to the B to the C towards the end of this long wave. So that price point for any sort of safety is about 5 cents. So if we got back above that, it's not really a terrible option. But obviously with all altcoins, you do have the tendency to kind of rock the boat along supports and resistances. So just be careful, because that could very easily happen. But that's all we can see for Pirate Coin. Guy Knight, what's going on, man? I'm going to be hopping off here, like in the next couple of minutes. Today's a short stream, so the VOD re-upload will be up very, very shortly. But my thoughts and opinions on, BTC and Ethereum really have not changed. There's been one development on Ethereum that's worth taking note on. If you are interested in any smaller time frame trades, we are at the local lows for Ethereum, and on the smaller time frames we have formed a ABC position. So that's an option if you are willing to get in smaller time frame trades. Obviously we've moved past the entry point a bit here. So obviously whether or not you want to jump into it now is kind of a different story. Now with BTC, let me go to the actual chart. This is dominance. Obviously we've been looking at the macro long structure, which we are currently above, and quite gently actually. So, well, I mean we're above it a little bit decently here, but not too much where like you can't set up a 2%, 2.5% stop loss and still have some sort of safety net. So I mean that's still within reason. Obviously if we moved up here, then that's when you start getting into trouble if you start taking that trade. But yeah, so that's the long position for BTC, and obviously that is in confluence with the previous resistance. So I mean it's an either or. If we do not hold this region, we will break back down in this range with the lowest maximum possibility of us coming all the way back down here to about $50,000 pretty easily. And I'm not saying that it's going to drop straight there. It's a simple fact. If we break back below the previous resistance, we will be breaking back into this range, and with the maximum possibility of being 50K. All right. It's a probability that becomes more likely, not necessarily the written rule. All right, guys. Yeah, I just wanted to take a quick look at the market today. I know it's a little bit of a short stream. I just got some things I got to get done today, but I do appreciate your time. And as always, if you guys wanted to go ahead and sign up for Femex, you know, I'm sponsored by them, just being upfront with it. They are running a campaign right now where whatever you deposit, up to a maximum of $500, if you make a futures trade, and by the time the campaign ends, you'll get a 20% bonus on whatever your deposit was. So if you deposit 500, you get $100 back. So if you sign up with my link as well, you will be whitelisted, and you will not have to do any KYC in order to use any of the features on the website. But that's as much as I'll say about that. Patreon's also there if you guys want to jump into the Discord, keep up to date. Like I said, I'm going to be live every 2 days, so if you're patient enough, I don't hold anything back on what my thought process is. So it all works out. But I appreciate you guys very much. We're just going to go ahead and select a song for the outro today. And given the fact that today was a short live stream, I might be live tomorrow with more of a standard one. But if not, I will be live on the 11th from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. EST. That's when the start time of the stream will be. The end time is kind of variable depending on how much is going on. So do the conversion, and you'll find out when I'll be live for you. I don't know what I'm feeling for an outro song today. I just picked something random here. Yeah, I'll play some Cal Scrubby. All right, guys. I'll give everybody a second to say goodbye. Sorry for the short stream today. It is what it is. But there is not a whole lot going on in the market, so there's not a whole lot to continue to keep talking about. Iron Scooby, I appreciate you showing up, man. It's good to see you. Read more you as well, man. Appreciate you. Pyromotive, you're the first one in, maybe the last one out. So I appreciate that as well. All right, guys. Like I said, there's a couple trades on the board that are smaller time frame. That's really at your discretion type thing. The only real trade that we have at the moment is Bitcoin. Obviously, Litecoin, the trade's there, but it's so far away. We really have to wait for extra confirmation on that one. It's a little bit too early to tell. And then with Ethereum, you know, we're sitting by waiting for a little bit larger ABC position. Whether or not that is at this local low or we get something in the future, you know, to help us have a little bit of extra confirmation and get into that trade. You know, something like this wouldn't be too bad, and then we can go ahead and take that trade and hopefully levy it to the upside. All right, guys, I appreciate you. We're gonna go ahead and cut to the stream end screen. So I'll see you either tomorrow or the next day. The 11th is a for sure thing. Tomorrow is kind of like an up in the air thing. All right, guys. Have a good day, good night, wherever you are. I'll see you next time, all right? Bye!
Told you not to fuck with the blue-eye bandit. Inbox slider like a 2-bite sandwich. Got your bitch scrolling in the poolside hammock. Chain could've taken down a new Titanic. The jewels gigantic. Sweating in the sauna like woosah. Been dripping like a summer out in Tucson. Still ripping like a winter out in Utah. Sticking out like RuPaul. Riding around Sioux Falls. Pull up in that two-tone. Calling in. Hit it twice like a motherfucker took a mulligan. Hey, you say I could've been, should've been. Yeah, man, you would've been, except you wasn't good as shit. Could've been a sinner or a saint. Chose horns over halos. Woke up in the same clothes. Am I getting in or is the gate closed? You a day late, you know how the saying goes. If the good die young, I'ma live a long time, like a real long time. I'm a bad man, a real bad man. Should've pulled the trigger when you had the chance. I'm gone, jet lag, setback, different time zone, too much chatter or you get the Dow tone. Stocked up, drive fast, and I crash like the Dow Jones. You can trade a diamond for a rhinestone. Play it back, there's a needle in the haystack. Monterey Jack cheese, be a rat and chase that. Never pay the bank back till you lay flat. Take it with you and they take it from you in estate tax. If the good die young, I'ma live a long time, like a real long time. I'm a bad man, a real bad man. Should've pulled the trigger when you had the chance. If the good die young, I'ma live a long time, like a real long time. I'm a bad man, a real bad man. Should've pulled the trigger when you had the chance. If the good die young, fuck it, I'ma take another one, it won't kill me. If the good die young, fuck it, I'ma take another one, it ain't kill me yet. Could've been a sinner or a saint, chose horns over halos, woke up in the same clothes. Am I getting in or is the gate closed? You a day late, you know how the saying goes. If the good die young, I'ma live a long time, like a real long time. I'm a bad man, a real bad man. Should've pulled the trigger when you had the chance. If the good die young, I'ma live a long time, like a real long time. I'm a bad man, a real bad man. Should've pulled the trigger when you had the chance. Should've pulled the trigger when you had the chance.